Hey there, I'm Jeff. Say, do you like video games? Yeah? Well, that's great. There's a lot of good games this year in 2016, but there are a whole lot of duds too. Some of them way more disappointing than others. And that's why I'm here today to give you 2016's most disappointing video games. So let's start things off with a game called Mighty No. 9. It's a title that was labeled as a spiritual successor to the Mega Man series. The game was actually kickstarted over 400% of the original goal back in 2013, but then faced delay after delay after delay until it finally debuted in June, where it sort of fell flat and failed to impress even the most optimistic of critics. Next up is Battleborn, the quote-unquote hero shooter from the team that gave us Borderlands. Battleborn was never able to muster any kind of momentum before its release in May, and when it finally did come out, critics complained that the game felt uninspired and remarkably unfunny. Timing didn't help anything either, because when Overwatch was released, it seemed to eat Battleborn's lunch, even if they really weren't as similar as people assumed. Ubisoft's The Division wasn't necessarily a bad game, but that's not what this list is about. What's disappointing about The Division was the way it attempted to combine an online co-op game with a third-person shooter, which resulted in a really weird grind that felt monotonous and trite. Its story also failed to captivate, which was a big reason I struggled to press on. Finally, we'll close things out with, well, you guessed this one, No Man's Sky. No game should have ever received the amount of hype that No Man's Sky did, and that's a big reason why its release was 2016's most disappointing. Gamers felt they were shown one thing in the time leading up to its debut, but then got something that felt significantly short of what seemed possible in previews. Now, if anything, the community should learn something from this fiasco, perhaps temper expectations for the next big thing. To be fair, No Man's Sky has recently received a major update to its core gameplay, and that's great, but nothing will be able to repair the original shock of its release. There are more games in my list of this year's most disappointing titles, so be sure to check out the full collection over at CNET.